What's up, guys? Welcome to Mikey Yourself, and today is our first monthly review of products that we've either put on the bike or used with the bikes. And so I've got a couple that I wanted to touch base with you all on to kind of let you know how they're doing, whether I think they were worth it, and then some other products too from time to time will come up where not necessarily something we put on the bike, but maybe have something I'm using with the bike, and I just want to provide you all with some feedback. That way, if you're looking at this as a possible solution for you, you have, what my experience has been at least. So let's take a look at what we're going to talk about. Damn it! All right, so our first products that we're going to be kind of just touching base on is the Willy G floorboards and the grips that we installed on the '07 Road King. And I got to say, as far as the grips go, they've been great. Like, there's enough rubber surface on here, and sitting in the sun does not get hot. Now, I do wear gloves all the time when I ride, but I haven't felt any of the heat through the glove, so that's a huge positive. So overall, again, this is a great design. And then same thing with the floorboards, not in regard to the heat, but love the design. They look great. Haven't had any issues with them. Now the question is, are they worth the money? Because these are Harley Davidson Willy G branded floorboards and grips. And I'll tell you, if all you want is a similar design, you can get it for far less with one of the knockoffs. But if you're committed to the Willy G logo, so I'm a big Willy G skull fan, so I paid extra because I wanted specifically the Willy G logo. So it's a completely personal choice, but you can get very similar floorboards and grips to these for far less than what you would pay getting the Willy G's from Harley Davidson. So totally up to you, but regardless the design of them, it works for the purposes, especially those grips, because I knew the original grips that I had on here, which matched kind of that brake pedal, so I'm still in the process. But those grips would have got way hot. There's no way I would have been using those. So yeah, that's the review on the grips and the floorboards. So something I haven't talked about in a minute is the air ride suspension that we had put on the Road Glide. So if you remember, I did have some issues in the beginning where I actually blew a seal on my first set, and I was discouraged. I didn't want to put another set on there just because I didn't want to deal with it. And a friend of mine said, "Hey, don't give up just yet," right? So I went ahead and purchased another set. Now, when I did that, I just bought the shocks because I already had all of the components that come or that are needed in order to make the air ride work. And the one challenge I did have was the bushings. The bushings that came with those Monroe shocks, they didn't allow for the bolt to go through, so I actually had to press out the bushings from those shocks and press out the bushings from the older shocks that I had, and then repress them in. So it was a little bit of legwork on my end, but overall, I've had great performance out of these shocks. So it's, for me, it's re-encouraged me to go ahead and do the same thing with my other bike. So with this Road King, to go ahead and do an air suspension on it in the future. And then the one thing I am kind of up in the air about is the air gauge. One of the things I would really like to take a look at is the possibility to use an LED indicator instead of using an actual gauge. I don't know. Something that would be easily seen. So the downside is if you are riding, you do need to make any adjustments to the pressure and you want to see it, you got to look way down, where I'd rather have something, like I said, an LED indicator or something up here that once I hit a particular pressure, so I would have to use a pressure switch LED indicator, that it would just, become green, or if it went down to a particular, level, it would be red. So that's the only downside, but again, that's a whole overall system. But the shocks itself, great stuff, no problems. So one of my favorite changes that I've made to this Road King are these new style visors. So on my Softail, I used to have kind of those really thin visors, and when I got this bike, One of the things that I loved the most about the Road King was how, like, just beefy the front end looked. And what I realized is what made that look happen are this style of visors. Um, I shared with you kind of the challenges with installing the headlight visor. They do advise that you leave the original trim on and then you put this over it. But what I was running into is kind of a lip that was developing here, and I didn't like that. So I removed that original one and added in the a little bit of weather stripping basically to help close that gap and make this nice and tight, and to the point where I can close it all the way so I don't have any gap here. And since I do have an aftermarket light bulb in there, I don't have the gap around the thing. um, I haven't had any issues with the trim at all. They're not like rusting really quick or anything like that. They don't come loose. So overall, for the price, this is great. I think that's a definite win, and you can't beat the look. It just looks amazing. Now, the one thing I did add on afterwards were the visors that mirrored them for the turn signals, just because I wanted to keep that look flowing through all of the lights. It didn't look bad without them, but it looks much better with them. So yeah, I think if again you're still on the fence on that, it's worthwhile. And I bought these ones, I believe, off of Amazon, so that link should have been in that video. And yeah, I think it's you can't go wrong with that buy, and you're not going to see any difference in the reviews between the Harley Davidson ones, which I don't believe they manufacture. It wouldn't surprise me if they're the same manufacturer that made these ones, but the reviews were the same, so that's why I went with the lower graded ones. So in the state of California, we are required to wear helmets, and because of that, sometimes you got to figure out, well, how do I secure my helmet to my bike if I'm not looking to carry it around, right? So I have a backpack where you can put your helmet in and kind of carry that around if you want to do that. But sometimes you just don't, right? You want to just leave it with the bike, and there are all kinds of different solutions for that. Harley Davidson actually makes a pretty decently priced steel cable that you can use, and it's got a little combo lock on it. And me being who I am, I went with a bike style lock here, and I'll tell you, beware. So the reason I say that is, and this one has actually been really, really good, and I'll tell you where I got this one from. But I bought two of these. There's this one here, and I bought another one. So the other one that I had bought was, I think, Defiant brand, and I purchased it out of Home Depot. That one almost left me stranded. So I went to the local store and locked my helmet to my Road King. When I got back out and trying to re-put in the combination, it would not release. No matter what I did, it just continued to stay locked. And it's a 4-digit combo, so it's not like I had some kind of, I wasn't forgetting to capitalize the second letter or put in a special character or anything like that. It literally, the lock just failed. And in my toolkit, and something that I've added in since, I did not have a set of diagonal cutters, right? So I was left trying to cut through that cable with a multi-tool that I just happened to put in there. And I ended up giving up on the actual cable itself and started going after the plastic lock, which, after I put some love onto it, it was able to break apart eventually, and I was able to get my helmet and come home. But I wasted a good 30 to 45 minutes in the parking lot. And interesting, like, nobody stopped me. Nobody came by and said, hey, you need help, or even asked, hey man, is that yours? Like, I was kind of surprised, but maybe I shouldn't be. I don't know. Now this one here, I haven't had any problems, and I've actually had this one longer, and it seems to be very, very sturdy. And the surprising thing is, I got this one from the 99-cent store. Now, of course, the 99-cent store is no longer 99 cents anymore. It's like 99 cents and above, apparently. But I think I paid maybe $3 for this thing, and it works great. Now, look, it's gonna do the minimal, so don't get me wrong. This does not prevent your helmet from being stolen. If somebody wants it bad enough, they're gonna take it. So just recognize that. But the whole goal is to not make it easy for them. And so if you could do that by using a cable, and this is pretty thick cable here, or whatever you got, then do so instead of just making it easy and leaving it on your seat or on the mirror, right? And again, it depends on where you're at too. If I go to the Harley dealership, my bike's right out front. I'm surrounded by a bunch of people who ride, and it's taboo. You could try to go in there and steal somebody's helmet off of their bike or whatever, versus say you go to a casino or you go to some event or store and you don't want to carry your helmet around, so you lock it to your bike, right? Because you don't want to just leave it out there, because in the different parking lots out there, you got folks that might be just looking for a come up, or maybe something that they'd be able to trade in for whatever they can get for it at a pawn shop, right? So good solution. My other one, the one that I broke, I destroyed, I replaced it with a security cable, kind of like this, but with just the hoops on both sides, and I use a combo lock for that now instead. And yeah, I mean, equally, that thing could fail on me, I'm sure, and it could also be destroyed if somebody had bolt cutters or enough time. They could go ahead and get through that cable. But again, it's all about just slowing down the process and incentivizing the person to go to the next bike or something else, right? So that's the product I wanted to show you. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I try to make it kind of easier, simpler, faster, going over multiple products, and I'm going to try to chapter this out so that way if you don't care about the Willy G grips or the floorboards, you don't have to watch that. But if you do want to watch the helmet stuff, then you can go ahead and jump right to that if you want to. At the end of the day, like I said, I just want to bring to you and share with you my experience with these things. And if I find something cool along the way, or if I find something that's really, really bad, then I want to make you aware of it and share that with you all as part of my community. So if you enjoyed it, hit that thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber already, please become one. I really appreciate it. And until that next video does post, I hope to see you in the win.